Welcome back to the Black and Gold podcast, and thanks again for joining us on another exciting episode where we'll look back at our guests' playing and managerial career. Then we'll get his best 11 and we'll put his knowledge to the test with our higher or lower game. Please share this episode on all our social media platforms, and please click that subscribe button on YouTube on our channel, which is the Black and Gold podcast. Right, Pedro?
Yes.
It's that time again. And a chance to find out what a manager really thinks of you that's managed you.
Oh, I could tell you right now, Cammy. But I'll not spoil it.
Don't put any spoilers out there. A man you know very well.
Yes.
Looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure you will be.
Actually, aye, because it's like having like your dad in the room. Do you know what I mean? But it's someone that's you've known from you since you were
played with
17,
him
16,
on the pitch, managed you a lot as well. So it's quite an interesting one.
No, really good. We spoke through the week, and I'm delighted that he's come on, aren't we? And it's a good one for the Annan fans to see the man who's behind the face. Brilliant.
And again, we'll look back at his playing career, and it's interesting for me to look back and again, probably didn't realise of how good a playing career he did have. So because I know him as the Annan manager, I remember watching Annan, so it's it'll be really good. I'm looking forward to this one. I think it'll be really interesting for the fans, as you say. So
absolutely.
Should we get started?
Let's get right.
Let's introduce him.
Yes.
I'd like to introduce our guest to this episode, a man who has made over 300 appearances for 2 Scottish football clubs and has had the hot seat at Annan twice. Welcome to the Black and Gold podcast, Harry Cairney. Welcome.
Thanks, Cammy. Peter, nice to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Harry.
Harry, so have you heard much about this podcast, watched any of it, or completely blind to it?
Well, I looked at a couple of episodes with Jardy and Big Aaron.
Oh, nice.
You know, just to kind of see what I should expect. So, yeah, they were very good. Yeah.
And looking forward to the next hour?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's always good to talk about football, you know.
Yeah.
I've got a house full of women, 3 daughters and a wife, so football never gets mentioned in my house.
A good chance for even like yourself to look back on your career and go through it, and obviously your playing and your managerial career, it's very lengthy, so
it is, yeah, because
I
said to my wife Lorna the other day, I said, I need to have a wee look back at some of the things I was doing, because it's over 30 odd years, you know.
Don't worry, we've asked Pete questions about games this season. He can't even remember the score, who scored, how they scored, the opposition's managers. So
I walked right past him and he said he was coming. I forgot what he looked like.
Brilliant. So let's get started, Harry.
Yes.
You started your career with Fir Park Boys Club. Was that a local side?
It was, yeah. Obviously, it was kind of connected loosely to Motherwell. You know, we would go up to kind of Motherwell area and sometimes get ready in their changing rooms and go out and kind of train on a local pitch. So they were connected to Motherwell in a way, you know, and I played there for a couple of seasons before I moved on to Airdrie, yeah.
And what sort of age was that?
So it was under 18s, you know. I went there when I was still I could play under 16 at the time, but I kind of played half of that year, and then the 2 years at under 18 that I could play then.
Yeah.
Was there many boys that took the step up with you when you did step up? Or was it?
So at that time, youth teams didn't really exist. You know, they were just kind of starting to exist for full-time clubs in Scotland, the kind of Premier League teams. So for a spell, I did play for Motherwell youth team as well as Fir Park Boys Club.
Right.
You know, and there was a couple of guys went to from Fir Park to Airdrie at that same time as well, but they never really made into the first team. They just tended to play in the reserves.
Yeah.
You know.
Nice. And then you made that step to Airdrie, a well-established team at that point. We're talking a number of years ago when they were Premier League team.
That's right, yeah.
So
they'd been to the Scottish Cup final in 75.
Yep.
And I joined them in 1980 when they were in the Premier League, yeah.
So again, you joined them, what, would you have been 18 or 19 when you joined them, senior team?
I probably, just before my 19th birthday, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And am I right in saying you made your senior debut against Rangers at Ibrox?
I did, yeah. That was kind of quite a surprise for me, probably as well for many other people. I'd only played about half a dozen, you know, reserve games, and in the June I'd been playing under 18 on a Nash pitch, you know. And in those days, the first team and the reserve team both played at 3 o'clock on Saturday.
Right.
So we went in and we trained in the morning, and the manager, who was Bobby Watson, took me up to his office. I thought, oh no, what have I done? And he said to me, we're thinking about playing you in the first team today. what do you think? I said, oh, I don't know if I'm fit enough. And they said, well, we do, and we think you're good enough, so you're playing. I thought, well, that's fine. But the funny thing was, no mobile phones in those days.
Yep.
So, and I was quite a shy boy. So my dad turned up to watch the reserves at Broomfield while I went to Ibrox and played against Rangers first team, and my dad missed the game.
Oh, wow. Amazing. You don't think about things like
No,
that.
no, it's
like
true,
practicalities of actual communication
That's
back
right.
in the day. So
In those days, yeah.
How did you do?
We drew 0-0.
How did you do though?
Oh, I did okay.
Aye.
I did last about 70 minutes and took me off after 70
were
minutes.
you nervous going in it? Really nervous? Or was it because it got sprung upon you
Probably
so
because
quickly?
it got sprung upon me.
Best thing that could have happened.
Probably the best thing that could have happened.
Yep.
You know, I did get nervous when wee John McDonald hit a shot. It just went by the post and I turned away, and about 20,000 people behind the goals let out this roar, and I was like, what was that?
And for Rangers that day, what kind of players are we talking? Davy Cooper, Peter McCloy, Sandy Jardine, were they all?
So John Gregg was the manager.
Yep.
Peter McCloy was in goal. Sandy Jardine. So David Cooper was playing.
Amazing.
Derek Johnson was playing.
Yeah,
you know. I played against Willie Johnson in a later game because him and David Cooper tended not to play in the same team. You know, but all the kind of Alec McDonald, all the stalwarts you could think of, Rangers 70s players were kind of playing.
Amazing.
That day with John Gregg as
And
manager.
I don't know, are you a Rangers or Celtic fan?
I'm
or?
actually a Celtic fan as a boy. Aye,
But
aye.
again, you would obviously you'd know all these names and like massive names.
Exactly.
So
Names I watched. You know, watched Rangers win the cup in 1972, the Cup Winners' Cup, and a lot of those guys were playing in that game.
yeah.
You know, so that was great for me to be on the kind of same pitch as them at such a young age.
Aye.
You know,
Brilliant.
But it'll give you
Yeah.
great confidence as well, knowing that you'd lasted 70 minutes.
well,
And
that's
nil-nil,
right.
he said, wasn't it, when
Yeah,
he
and
came
finished
off?
0-0. John Martin was the goalie. If you remember Big John,
Yep.
he had an exceptional game. You know, and the TV cameras were there. In those days, only one game got covered, and it was that one. And Big John had a cracking game and made a few great saves to keep it at 0-0.
And was that the start of your sort of senior career? Did you get was it a natural you were playing every week, or were you in the squads every week?
Very
or?
much a kind of stop start. I was in the squad, you know, and then again I went to Parkhead and I played at Parkhead in the December. So that was October, Ibrox, Parkhead in the December. So I was in and out, which was a wee bit frustrating because once you get in there, you get a taste of it, you know what it's like.
Yep.
You kind of want to stay there, but I understand that young boys, it doesn't happen for them like that very often.
Yep.
And it didn't happen for me that way, you know.
What was it like? Broomfield was obviously an iconic stadium back in the day, and what was it like playing there? I watched actually when I was doing my research some footage of Airdrie v Rangers. It was, I think it was probably, could have been that season or the season after, and you were playing in it, and it just looked incredible. So many people there. It was about 18,000 and packed though, but packed.
Well, that was jam packed. It was 18,000 in Broomfield. It was jam packed,
Yep.
you know, and the stand was right up against the pitch, you know. So and there was a great atmosphere all the way around, you know. Actually, I remember playing a game. It was a reserve game, and David Cooper was playing, and I was at right back, and Davy started on the left, and I kind of done to him, and he hit the wall, you know, off the pitch, and then he went over the other side, and a big guy called Jim Roger played. And he did the same at the other side. After about 10 minutes, he just went like that.
Not for me.
I'm off. Didn't fancy it, but when he was on his game, what a player.
But they would be like, again, iconic and brilliant moments for you to have.
Aye.
Stadiums nowadays are different. They can have great atmospheres, but when you watch games back in the day, it looked as if it was just, again, there was a lot of people crammed into small spaces, but the atmosphere just looked incredible.
Yeah, and not, as you say, very crowded, and the crowd shifted, you know, you could see it move around when things were happening, you know, goals and stuff like that, and they all were jumping about crazy. It was great atmospheres, yeah.
Back then, Sandy Clark, your striker,
Sandy
star
Clark was striker, yeah. Sandy scored a lot of goals in those 2 seasons. We got relegated after 2 seasons, but Sandy was the player of the year for Scotland that year.
Wow.
You know, and we all went into big hotel in Glasgow, the SPL, you know, the PFA awards, and we all sat there as Sandy got presented with it. I didn't know he was getting it. I don't know if he did, but he never let on. And so it was a great night. And then he went on to sign for West Ham. And the spin-off of that was we got to play West Ham in the pre-season game.
Who was at the West Ham?
Do you know, I couldn't remember any of the players because that would have been 1982, you know. But what I do remember, the guy I played against, he smelled lovely. You know, that wasn't a big thing in 1982 for people to wear aftershave and that. But I remember, this guy smells great.
Harry's just mark him a wee bit closer.
Standing next to him.
Get me off. Who's this guy?
Amazing. No, that's brilliant. So after 3 seasons at Airdrie, you made the move. What was the reasons for that?
The reason was probably over those 3 years I'd only played about 50 games, you know, and I was getting frustrated with that, and I just wanted to play every Saturday. You know, you train a Tuesday, Thursday, it probably was for us in those days, and then you want to play on a Saturday, and when you're left out, you know, I didn't enjoy that.
It's a big build up to the Saturday.
Exactly, yeah. So I thought I need to kind of move on to get regular games, because that's what I wanted to do really, was just kind of play as many games as possible.
Right. And then you obviously made the move in 1983 to Stenny.
That's right, yeah.
Good memories from that period?
Yeah, lots of good memories. We weren't particularly successful at that time, but I still meet with about half a dozen of the boys every 2 or 3 months, and we go out and we kind of spend a Saturday in Glasgow, you know, and we reminisce, you know, and we talk a load of rubbish, but you know, we all enjoy it.
It's good to keep in touch.
Yeah. So great memories. We had lots of good friends, guys I'm still really friendly with, close to, even after 40 years.
Good club?
Know? Yeah. I mean, again, they didn't have a lot of money, Stenny. They were quite a selling club at that time, I would say.
What league were they in at that time, Harry?
So in the old second division.
Right, okay.
Old second division. So if anybody showed any promise, and a lot of guys did, you know, they would kind of sell them on, because they needed to do that to kind of survive, you know. And so we never really had any real success, but we had a lot of good players pass through the team, you know. A lot of good memories,
And that was one of your 2 clubs that you got a testimonial at. We'll touch on this one first, obviously. You played Rangers in 1990 as your testimonial game.
That's right. I'd signed a contract which would have got me there for the 10 years. You know, and the manager at that time was Jim Meakin, and the teaser was, I'll get you a testimonial game, you know. So that transpired, you know, which was great. You know, it's kind of people think, oh, that must be fantastic, but I never really liked being the centre of attention, you know, and kind of on those nights you're like, oh, this is a bit cringy, you know, they're all plodding you onto the park and stuff like that, you know, but it's great that, you know, hundreds of people, because it probably was hundreds, it probably wasn't thousands, come out to kind of, you know, pay tribute to your career, which is fantastic, you know.
Yeah. Who was playing for Rangers back then? And at the testimonial game was I was trying to think. A change of era, wasn't it?
It was. I would say it was probably more younger players, maybe reserve team players that kind of played in that game. Although I did see the other night, I will mind Steve McCormick, who played in the team, posted that, you know, a programme from the game, and it had Terry Butcher's name in it. I don't think Terry Butcher played, you know.
Just to tease him, get the fans there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But some of these names were in it, you know. This one, but I don't remember any big names really playing that night.
See, back then, Harry, was there still, obviously a testimonial nowadays is rare, quite rare. Yeah. Was it as rare then, or was it?
It was kind of quite rare, you know. But I think in those days people stayed longer at clubs, because remember I was, you know, pre-Bosman era, so I couldn't get away from Stenhousemuir, you know. So there were times that I would say, no, I'm looking for a sign on for you, or increase my wages, and they're just like, no. Oh well, so you'd know where to go, you know. So people did have to stay, you know, at certain clubs. You couldn't just move after your year contract or your 2-year contract was up.
Right.
Yeah. The one big memory I have maybe at Stenhousemuir was we played Rangers in the Cup. And it was at Falkirk's Park.
Ah, right, okay.
Because Stenhousemuir Park was too small and we wanted a big crowd. It was our home game. And it was the Souness era. So Graham Souness was playing. Terry Butcher was playing that day.
Right.
You know, I was playing against David Cooper, you know, and the boy Woods was in goals, you know. They were just building their team, you know, at that point. And so that was a great experience again.
Can you remember the score?
I think they won 4-1.
Right.
I think it was 4-1, you know, and we had a goalie playing. I keep referring to goalies because that's up your street.
Right up my street.
Lindsay Hamilton.
I remember Lindsay Hamilton.
Played for Stenhousemuir at that time, and after that match, Rangers signed him.
Yep.
You know, quite soon after that match, and we always kind of used to kind of say, kid him on and say, Graham Souness, it was only header he ever scored was that night against you. You know, but they still signed you, but he was a good goalie, big Lindsay, you know.
Brilliant. And then you made the move to Brechin.
I did.
In 1992.
Yeah.
What was that a change of club? What was the reason for leaving Stenny after a long period?
I probably had seen about 6 managers there at Stenny, and I'd had a bad injury at that time. I never got many bad injuries, but my ankle was and I kind of there's still transfer fees going on at that point, you know, when you move clubs. So I kind of wondered if Stenny were cashing in, you know, because this injury looked kind of pretty bad. But I did have a row with the manager as well, a guy called Dennis Lawson, who was a great guy, but I took penalties on and off. That's the only reason I scored goals, was took penalties on and off.
15 in your tenure at Stenny.
And so
was that? I never realised that.
We kind of got a penalty, and I'm like, and I'm the captain. I'm taking the penalty. And Dennis is shouting over, no, you get to big Stevie, this new signing with Stevie Pryor for East 5. Get to Stevie. I'm like, what? He's like, give the ball to Stevie. So give the ball to Stevie, he missed it. So I was kind of verbally shouting back forward to the bench, you know, and I don't know if that kind of...
And that's how the fallout started.
As well. That was in the mix as well, you know, and kind of so it probably suited all parties just for me to kind of move on to Brechin.
Well, it was a great long spell at Stenny, though, wasn't it? It wasn't like you cut short.
No, I was over 9 years, about 9 years, so... Yeah.
And can you remember how much you went for when you went to Brechin, what the transfer fee was?
It was quoted in the papers as 10,000.
Right.
Aye.
Modest sum, isn't it? That's good.
Definite.
Well, when was that? 92?
With inflation in that period, you know,
probably a couple of mil.
Nah, brilliant. What league were Brechin in when you signed with them?
Brechin were also in the second division at that time.
So they were in the same league as Stenny?
Yeah, because we'd kind of played against Cowdenbeath on, I think it was, say, the Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
And on the Thursday night was when Brechin came in for me, and I went to meet John Ritchie, was the manager, and I signed, and then on Saturday we're playing Cowdenbeath. So I lines up and the striker comes up and he goes,
I just
wait a minute, I was playing against you there. For Stenhousemuir. I says, aye, that's right.
First season, very successful. You got promoted, did you not?
We did our first full season, yeah. So that was a kind of February, I think I went there. And then the next kind of a season, yeah, we got promoted. We did well that year. We had a lot of good players. And we kind of worked out a formation that kind of worked for us, you know. Because it was quite strange, because I'd played right back kind of all my days, or centre back sweeper, when I was at Airdrie and Stenhousemuir. And then started next season, John Ritchie said to me, right, Harry, you're playing left back. And I'm going, left back? I've never played left back in my life, but with 2 really good centre backs, Bobby Brown and Alan McKillop. And I said to them, you two just go and pick up, and I'll just sit in behind. And we won the game. I think it was against Hamilton Accies in the Cup. You know, it was a good victory, and we won the game. And Big John Ritchie never said to me, why are you not playing left back?
He was quite happy.
He was quite happy, so that was how we then played. After that, I just kind of swept in behind 2 good centre-backs, you know, and it kind of worked for us.
Aye, if it works, it works.
It works.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you have said, though, if you were a manager and
that's
your
the thing,
left back done that?
I kind of thought about that. You know, I mean, I've thought about it since, and I thought, what would I have said if somebody done that? If somebody just went and played a position?
He's not listening.
Get him off! Aye, no. And then you had the strange period where you were fluctuating between sort of leagues. I think you had 5 different divisions in 5 seasons where you just couldn't find, you were getting promoted and then getting relegated. A strange period for you.
A bit of a yo-yo team. I think that year we got promoted, League Reconstruction came in.
Right.
And they brought in the 4th tier.
Yes.
They brought in League 3. So I think we'd gone up to the 1st division, which was a tough ask for us. So when we got a new manager, John Ritchie left, and new manager came in with new ideas, and we kind of dropped down and then we dropped down again, 2 years in a row, which was quite kind of tough. But I think then maybe the next year we got promotion again. It was quite strange, how we did seem to go up or down.
Up and down. Was there a lot of changeover of players?
There tended to be. Aye. I mean, Ian Redford was the manager who took over for John Ritchie when we went up into the first division, but that was a hard task for him then, because we were flying high at that time, well, in terms of the division we were in, so it was hard for him to come in, and he obviously had his own ideas, and I was 32 at that time, but Ian Redford was 34 and he was player manager, and he thought with too many old players. So at that time I didn't even train at Brechin. I would train at Stenhousemuir and then just meet up with the guys on a Saturday.
Right. And just play.
Just play. So often, but I'd always phone the manager on a Friday night and just check in. I was fit, I was okay. And there was occasions when Ian Redford would say, right, I'm not playing you tomorrow, I'm bringing in one of the young boys at centre back. And then I'd say, right, okay. And then we'd turn up and he'd read the team out and I'd be in the team. And I'd be like, how did that happen? And then the assistant manager was a guy called John Young, who then became the manager afterwards, and he said to me, I used to convince him in the bus that he's better to go with experience, and so I'd be in the team, So some of Ian Redford's, I think, younger guys who he felt should be in the team didn't quite work out for him, you know.
And then 2001-2002 season, you got promoted from the third division. Who was it? Dick Campbell, the manager at that point?
Dick Campbell was the manager at that time. Dick had come in the season before, and we just missed out. We finished third. We were into the last game the season against Cowdenbeath. I think we needed to win it, but we lost 1-0. And then but the next year he made some really good signings. Roddy Grant.
Yes,
played in big Chris Templeman.
He was a good striker, wasn't he?
They were worth a lot of goals. And kind of their goals, I guess, kind of got us up there. Yeah.
What was Dick like as we all know, we've seen loads of him over the years, but as a manager,
Dick was great. I liked the Blood and Thunder managers. I liked Bobby Watson. That's what he was. Bobby was like a lay preacher and come with me, we'll make this journey together. And I liked all of that. Mm-hmm. And as you know, Dick was like that. And although Dick was a very good coach, it was more the way he put things across with force and aggression that I liked about him, and the very first game we played, it was either a cup game or a friendly game, was against Arbroath, and they were 2 leagues above us, and we come in and Dick had we lost 2-0, and Dick was going, oh fucking bastard, and you don't even remember the dressing rooms at Arbroath, but the toilet was just off them, the shower room and toilet was just off them, so Dick would rant and rave, and then he would go in and he was having a pee, and then he would still, you could still hear him shouting, and he'd come back in and shouting again, So I used to do a cool down. I was probably the only one that did. I used to go out because I was getting older. I thought I need to look after myself, and Dick came out and he smoked his cigar. That was all right, Harry. I'm like, what? I says, you've just gave us all pelters in there. He went, aye, sometimes you've got to appear you're angry when you're not really angry, and so often when Dick shouts, he wasn't really angry, but he just wanted to put it across that was the, he
felt he needed that at the time.
He needed it, aye. So it was great for the club, fantastic.
Diane Breed, the manager, isn't he? He's probably the last one, of that era, I think it looks.
Correct. And Dick will be 70 now. Dick will be 70, and it's amazing that he's still going, because he's been ill over the years as well, but he's fantastic, yeah.
And they got them up to the championship, didn't they?
Nearly.
They went playoffs to the Prem, didn't they?
Aye, so close, and just a brilliant manager, obviously, but a character as well for Scottish football. Glad he's still involved, because he's such a big character for Scottish football. Yeah, exactly. And his twin brother was assistant manager, Pink, or Ian, and I played against Ian. I probably played against Dick as well, but I can't remember because I played directly against Ian. He was a good striker as well.
Was he?
He's a record goal scorer for Brechin over the years.
Right.
Yeah.
And then your last season with Brechin was a fairly successful one. You got promoted to the first division, which is now the championship. And also you got to a Challenge Cup final against Queen of South, where you got beat.
That's right.
But a fairly successful season on your last one.
It was, and I think by that time I was 41, and Dick was getting asked about the cup final team, and he was saying Harry Cairney will captain us in the cup final, and I'm thinking, this is my swan song. This is my last game, you know. This is my last game. So, and they signed a boy for Hibs, Justin. I can't remember his name. It's a good player, and I thought he's coming in as a sweeper, you know, and he's going to play as a sweeper. Sure enough, after the cup final, we goes to Berwick next week, and Justin's named as sweeper, but I was named as a marker, as a centre half, and I'm like, oh, this is it, it's just that. Put up a centre half, and then next week he's not playing. But I actually had a good game, and so I played as a marker instead of a sweeper, you know, in the same system. So, but no, Dick was great, and getting again promoted straight away up was really good, because there was some good players coming out and loan in those days. Kenny Miller was at Stenhousemuir,
right?
You know, Riordan was at Cowdenbeath.
Yep.
You know, and I remember playing against these guys, thinking, who are these boys? Where did they come from?
New breed
but
of
of course,
player.
they're on loan from big clubs,
Yep.
you know. Which,
and as you say, the clubs had then developed their youth systems by then, and all the Premier League clubs had good youth policies to try and bring through these younger guys, and were reaping the benefits, obviously, from going on loan. So, what was the conversation like when you and Dick had it? Obviously, you got promoted. Was it you're finished, Harry, or was that your decision? Or
it was my decision. Well, what happened was, we played a game, it was at Hamilton Accies Park, but I think it might have been against Airdrie, because they didn't have a ground at that time. And we both needed a point. We needed a point to get promoted, and they needed a point to stay up. And in the game, they were 2-0 up, and it went to 2-1, and we're in the last minute, and big Chris Templeman, he kind of hit one in his belly. We'll film a bit of yard, and that was it. And then we're watching the ref, blow the whistle, because we're both happy, you know. So then, after that game, no one knew who was signed for next year. In fact, nobody was signed for next year. We all just went away after the game, no knowing what was happening for next year, you know. And then I got a phone call the next day for Dick, and he's like, what are you thinking, Harry? And I'm like, no, I've had enough, because we started the next season, I'd have been 42, and I thought, I can't go up into that really good league, 42. My legs were struggling enough in the league I was in, you know, and I thought, no, good time for me to win the third division, promoted from the second, and I can leave in my head high, you know.
Absolutely, aye. That's some achievement.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't going to go into obviously coming to Annan after the next season, but I did not realise you were that young as a manager when you first came to Annan. I would have been there 42, 42, yeah. 42.
I
didn't realise that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's the lack of hair.
we can't finish with the Brechin chat without touching on another testimonial.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
over 350 appearances for Brechin over 10 years. You got your testimonial again, Rangers.
Yes,
to be a common theme.
I don't know.
Just wanted to beat them, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know why. It just kind of seemed to be that anyone who had contacts with the club knew somebody at Rangers, you know, and
it's a good draw,
and obviously
that
would bring a good crowd in.
Yeah,
you know,
good day again, or
it was great. I remember Dick kind of saying to me when we turned up for the night, he said, "Who do you want to play?" You know, but I'd brought up a couple of my mates. Big Sandy Ross, former manager of Annan, had come up, and a guy called Ian Thompson, Topper, who played at Queen of the South for a while. So they'd come up to play, just as my guests, you know.
Yep.
And we were kind of doing well that season, so Dick didn't really want to play a lot of the first team guys, so we put a younger team, and Rangers had a young, apart from me obviously, and Rangers had a younger team as well. But that was a great night. There was loads of goals in that game, I remember. Aye, so it was
no much defending.
No, not a lot of defending, especially not for me.
But like you say, it's a night about you, and it's
yeah. And all my family were up at that, and my kind of nephews and one of my daughters, they were kind of the wee strips on, they were the wee maskets they come on. So that was nice for that as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. So that's the end of the playing chat, and then your next chapter happens, which is the one that everyone will want to hear about is the Annan.
Yeah.
The move to Annan in the east of Scotland, 2003.
Yep.
You take up the managerial post. Talk us through how that happened. Did the club approach you? How you went about getting that job as a manager?
Well, what happened was I'd kind of packed in obviously in the May, and then I decided I'd play golf during the summer, and then when I got to about October, I thought, weather's rubbish, what am I going to do? And I was just looking through the paper, it was a Daily Record, and I saw this advert, Annan Athletic manager required.
Amazing.
Right? And so, I'd been down at Annan, we'd played at Annan in the Scottish Cup maybe a couple of years earlier, so I knew it was a good club, you know, and I kind of thought, I'm going to apply for that. You know, what have I got to lose? So I just wrote off letters in those days, I think, you know, posted it and sent it off, and I heard back and they invited me down for an interview.
See, at this point, was it a big thing for having coaching badges?
Well, I'd done my B licence and I'd done the first part of my A licence when I was maybe about 35, 36.
Right.
Just in preparation for when I packed in.
So you were always thinking about the managerial side of stuff and coaching.
Yeah.
Logical next step for a lot of boys.
Well, you know, I would have liked to have been a coach first before I became a manager. I didn't quite make that step. I just went straight from being a player to being a manager. You know, but I think it's more a natural progression to be a coach and then a manager. But you know,
and did you have? Obviously, you brought Sandy and Stuart Sorby down.
That's right. Yeah.
What did you always know? Did you always just keep in touch with these guys throughout when you were playing?
These were guys I spent years with, travelling up and down to Brechin. Now it was like a 2-hour drive to Brechin.
Yeah.
So you chatted about a lot of things, you know, for 4 hours going to a match and coming back down from a match. Yeah. So you just knew these guys inside out, and they knew me, and we kind of got on well together, and that was kind of the basis of it, you know. And the good football brains. They were strikers, and I was a defender. You know, so we could work on different things with the
and
players.
Was Sorbs already retired, or did he retire the same year? Or?
Yeah, Sorbs had kind of retired about the time Dick Campbell took over.
He was a fit guy.
Aye.
Oh, Sorbs, wasn't he?
Yeah, because I think Dick wanted to kind of keep him on, but I think Sorbs had decided by that time that he was
finishing,
hanging his boots up. Yeah, him and Sandy were a couple of years younger than me, so they were probably around about 40 when they came. But they did play a few games in the south.
Aye.
You know, and score a few goals.
Did you not play when you first come though?
Well, that was the next season. I did at the start of the next season. Oh, no, I did play one game down at Gala.
Yeah.
We'd lost our first 2 games, and with no centre halves, you know. And I thought, oh my goodness, I might need to play myself when we. There was a guy that mentioned to me by Alan Irvine. I think his name was Coburn. Came from Gala or something like that, and we were playing over that neck of the woods. And him and I teamed up. I'd never seen him before in my life. We teamed up as centre backs, and we won that day. We beat Gala. So I was like, "Oh, that says we've got a victory." So then I didn't play after that. I didn't play after that until the start of the next season. Yeah.
So that season obviously was 2003, 2004. Your first season.
That's right. Yeah.
Who were the main characters in the changing room? Guys that you brought in? Did you bring any players yourself in, or did you basically inherit the squad?
I inherited the squad. You know, obviously Jardy was there.
Yep.
Who was, you know, a fantastic player.
Yep.
You know, spent a lot of years already. You know, down at Galabank and spent many more after that. You know, so Jardy was there. There was a big striker called Gracie.
Ian Armstrong.
Georgie score goals. Could score goals. I went to watch them before I became the manager, and he scored a hat trick.
He was class, actually.
I think it was at White Hill or something like that. He scored a hat trick. I thought this boy can play.
Was he? No, it wasn't Ian Armstrong. It was
Stuart Armstrong.
No, Graham Armstrong, I presume. With Gracie, was it? Was it?
Somebody Armstrong.
Oh, was it Armstrong?
I don't know.
No point asking me.
I don't know.
It was somebody Armstrong.
Striker.
And wee Pratty was there.
Yes,
as well.
Andy Pratt.
Yeah. Wiggy was there, that's the point.
Who's that?
Wiggy, Ginger's boy.
Aye, that's right. Wiggy was there. Aye. And the other guy in midfield, the crew cut, good player. He then came from Dumfries. Oh, that's terrible. I can't remember his name. But he was a
crew cut.
Aye, decent player.
Somebody can let us know. Jardy will let us know.
Centre mid with Jardy, sort of idea.
Centre mid with Jardy. Because I remember I come in and I was just down for an interview, or a second interview, and he came into the club and he went, "Oh, here's the new manager."
No, Cocky.
Aye.
Gary Cochran.
Aye, Gary Cochran. Aye. Gary was there and he came in and said, "Oh, here's the new manager."
Gary Cochran was a good player. I actually bumped into Gary Cochran at Freve. I was doing the Freve versus Stranraer game for BBC, and Gary was down there because he's from Castle Douglas. So he was a brilliant player because he was Queen himself as a younger guy, and then obviously moved to Annan, but he was a really good player. I remember watching him.
Again, in those days, you didn't have the internet really. You know, it's probably just kind of coming into being then. And I remember going to watch Annan when I was applying for the job. I went to watch them against White Hill Welfare, and then went down to Sanker. I thought, these are different players. I didn't realise there was 2 teams. You know.
Yep.
And so I went down and then I saw them again up at Edinburgh Uni. You know, so I saw a lot of players. I think they've got a lot of players.
Kevin Proudfoot would have been there, was he not?
No, Kevin wasn't there at that time.
But he must have come back because I played with Proudy at centre half, and we came up when you went to Arbroath.
Aye.
Me and Proudy were centre half.
Right. So
that's what made me say that.
Yeah,
I thought he was there, but maybe not.
Because it'd be Big Smudger, Big Smithy played, and Drugsy tended to play.
Aye.
Who was the goalkeeper at that point, Harry?
The goalkeeper was it Charlie?
Charlie McCullough was of South, but did Dell not come down from Ayrshire?
Aye,
Dell.
That's right, he did. Aye, Big Dell was a goalie, and then the next year we got Dougie Calder.
That's right.
Yep.
Dougie had a great season.
I got him on loan for Motherwell. Speaking to Chris McCartan, brought him on loan for Motherwell. And Dougie had a great season, and we won the league. We won the qualifying cup. You know, and I think we could beat in the League Cup final. What was the one at Mother? Sorry.
We'll get to that.
Yes,
so we've got the first season you finished 4th.
Yes.
I believe so.
You tell me that, yes.
It was so you finished 4th, and then the following season, that's when, because you were only there for how long were you there?
I was only there 2 games. Because I remember we started off, we won them 4-0 and 6-0, but unfortunately I had to play them because that's when Drugsy went a bit AWOL after he got married. So I had to play both of those games. But the last game we won 6-0, and the 2 wide men scored a hat-trick each.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Gary Mack.
Yes, aye.
Yeah, Gary McMenamin. And who's the other one?
Gordon Moffat.
Big Moff.
They're best pals. They both scored hat-tricks.
They're manager and assistant manager at
Clydebank. They're doing well. Yep. So they both scored hat-tricks on the list.
And then you managed to get yourself moved back into leagues as a manager to Arbroath.
I did, yes. Yeah.
Was that always an ambition for you to try and manage in the league? Was that probably the driver that sold it for you, was to get an opportunity in the leagues?
Well, it always kind of would have been the plan, you know, but what happened was Sorbs played for Arbroath for 5 years, and he's like, they're a good club. He says they're still looking for a manager, and he phoned up and made contact with somebody, and they said they'll speak to us.
Yep.
So I said to Henry, I was up front and just said, look, we're going up to speak to Arbroath, and we did, and they offered us a job. But what happened was, the reason why I turned it down was they only wanted 2 of us, and I had Sorbs and Sandy and myself.
Yep.
They had a guy up there who ran the minibus down. We trained in Perth, so we'd run it down with some of the guys in it. And I knew the guy, and he was a great guy. Wee Jake, he was assistant manager at Stenhousemuir for a wee while. But so, because the 3 of us couldn't go, I said no. But then afterwards, we thought about it, and Sandy said, look, you might not get the opportunity again. Why don't you and Sorbs go? He says, and I'll just look for something else. As a result, he became manager of Annan Athletic, you know. Yeah. And Sorbs and I moved up to Arbroath.
Sorry, just to take you back, sorry, Cammy,
it's okay.
Jump in?
It's okay.
Back to, see, when you got the job at Annan,
you
mentioned the interview process. Who was there when you were in the room? Can you remember? Was Ginger and Chunky?
Ginger, Chunky, and Sammy.
Yeah.
And maybe Philip. There was 5 or 6.
Right.
You know, and maybe Ian. Maybe your dad was there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he
possibly.
He would have been. Yep. He was well in the committee at that point.
Was Dick, Simon Aitken? Remember, was Big Simon there then?
Oh, I can't remember that.
Was Henry chairman at the time?
No, Henry wasn't chairman at the time.
Okay.
It was Sam. Sam was chairman at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Sam was chairman. Aye. But Henry was there because I remember Henry. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But then when I come back the second time, it was Henry was the chairman by then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Just the year.
Aye.
2 years
later,
aye.
Arbroath.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We'll fly over this.
Yes.
No, you went to Arbroath. They'd lost a lot of games before you joined.
That's right. They played 8 and lost 8 before I went, and so it was a hard task.
Yep.
You know, some aging players who'd been good players, but these aging players were on a lot of money. You know, and they were kind of crippling the club a bit. So really, these guys had to kind of go at the end of the season, you know, and it was very difficult, you know, bringing in guys of that standard again, you know. Plus, Gavin Swankie was a good player, to sell him to further his career, but obviously for the club to get some money as well. And our top goal scorer that year, a guy called Greg Hensley, he moved on as well.
Right.
You know, so we kind of lost our kind of attacking threat. So it's a big change in the second year, you know.
It takes effect on the
team,
doesn't it?
You got relegated that season.
We got relegated. We finished second bottom, which is strangely now, well, even the next year, that's when they brought in the playoffs.
Right,
you know, so had it been a year later, we might have got a playoff, but no, we got relegated.
How did you find that as a manager? Was it, obviously it would be tough, but was it deflating, or did you galvanise yourself and think that I've got enough that we can get them promoted next season?
Yeah, I mean, it's never great getting but I'd been relegated, as you mentioned before, as a player, and you just try and you bounce back, and you're always optimistic about the coming season, and that was kind of how. And we had a good pre-season. We worked well through the pre-season, but things just didn't really happen for us at the start of the season,
Yeah.
We see when you played Annan in the pre-season.
Yeah.
Was that part of the deal as well, or not? Or
I can't
was that
remember.
Just with a link with
what
yourself?
I do remember, part of the deal was that if we ever drew a Premier League club, then Annan would get $5,000.
Oh, nice.
All right, okay.
And when I would just we drew Aberdeen, and so Annan did get their $5,000. Because I was never on a contract, as a manager, and I didn't bother me to be on a contract. Agreement. It was just a kind of gentleman's agreement, and I trusted them and they trusted me, and they got their.
That's a nice touch, though, isn't it? It's a nice touch. Again, you resigned in September 2005 after I think it was a 3-0 defeat from Cowden Beef. Had you just had enough New Year time? You knew you needed to move on, or
what happened was that there was, as I said before, there wasn't a lot of money, and that's sad. You arrive at kind of 1:45 for a 3:00 kick-off, and first boy comes in like, Gaffer, what's wrong with the wages? Never got my wages yesterday. You get paid into your bank on a Friday.
Aye.
Next one, Gaffer, never got my wages. I'm thinking, oh no. So it turned out the boys hadn't been paid, and then we go out, and it was a really flat performance, and I kind of thought, I don't want to be part of this anymore, and I said to subs, I'm wrapping it. Subs like, no, I don't wrap it. I says,
it's only going one way.
I says, it's only going, and I said to the chairman, look, that's me. I've had enough, and he was okay. He was fine with it, so that was it basically, But the squad still did get into the playoffs. It didn't get up. That squad that I guess I had kind of put together, but just it didn't click for us early part of the season.
Yeah.
But
here, let's clear this up right now.
Yeah.
Did you try and sign Jardy?
Yes, yes, I did. Not long after I moved there, actually.
Yep.
Tried to sign him, and the club did make some money available. And I got in touch with Henry.
Was it the logistics? It just didn't work for Jardy's travelling.
Logistics. I didn't realise that Jardy didn't drive.
Incredible.
I didn't realise that he didn't drive, and then so that became an issue. How would we get him up there? Even if we got to Glasgow and we could pick him up and take him up, it was still going to be a really long day for him.
Aye.
And we did. I'm sure we did put a bid in, or there certainly was money available to put.
Don't
a bid
bum
in,
him too much, but some player.
Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Brilliant player.
Yeah.
But leaving Arbroath provided the opportunity of going back to Annan.
That's right.
In the summer of 2006, when Kenny
his
Brown
fucking tail between his legs, Cammy. Let's see.
You got that in the script there. Kenny Brown left. The job became available.
Yeah.
Did they make contact? Did you make contact? How did it work?
I remember I was actually on the golf course, and Henry phoned me, and by this time I had a mobile phone. It was a bit,
Big hand.
so like, and I'd be part of my hand, and I'd kind of hi Henry, and because I didn't want to waste time, I just kind of putted it in the putt in the hole.
Try that all the time.
And Henry's like that. Look, we've got a vacancy, and I said, look, I says, you know me. I says, I'm not coming for an interview. If you want to be the manager, I'll be the manager, but I'm not going into a competition with anybody else. And he says, right, I'll get back to you. And then he come back to me and says, right, we'll offer you the job again,
Brilliant.
Aye.
So
Nice.
It was an easy one for them.
Nice
they
and
knew
smooth.
you like to say.
Yes, aye.
It's a smooth transition.
Aye.
That.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was nice. It was nice. You knew you were coming back, actually. Because, see, touching on that, when you first came to Annan, and this is no disrespect to Kenny Brown at all, but the level, Billy Sim was before yourself, wasn't it? The first time. The level of training and the professionalism just went straight away, instantly. I felt anyway.
Well, it's good to hear, because after I took the job and accepted it, the Sammy said to me, "Oh, you might have your work cut out." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Oh, these guys can be a hard team to work with." I'm like, "Really?" But I never found anybody an issue, anybody a problem. Everybody did what was asked of them on a training night, and nobody moaned too much, apart from if you're doing hard running, which everybody moans it anyway.
You would inherit a lot of Carlisle boys at this point, obviously, because Kenny Brown brought a lot of the Carlisle boys.
Yeah.
So was there different faces? Obviously, it hadn't been that long since you'd left, come back the second spell.
Yeah,
was there quite a few different faces?
There probably was a few different faces,
Granger,
as you say.
Jacko.
Yeah. So
Archie, Gary Brown.
These were all good faces to see at the club, because these were all kind of good players, But what I found difficult when I first came to Annan was the fact that the South and the East team were really different, were really separate.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it was almost as if no one wanted to progress from the South team into the East team. That was my first spell, and I'm thinking, well, this is really strange. We need to make sure this is a reserve team feeding into the first team.
Ken, why that was? Probably a couple of reasons. One, the way Buff, remember you and Bryson, Buff was fantastic with the South, because he was still quite, he hadn't long finished playing. He was very youthful. He was fucking so good as a coach, as a manager. You wanted to do well for him.
Yep.
Like I say, the bus trips away was fantastic, but I felt there was probably at the time there was a clique in the first team.
Yeah.
Where the younger players like Marcel, Nicky, Sean, Grant, kind of a lot of the boys, you didn't feel welcome.
Yeah.
But like I say, until you got into that, and then you were accepted a bit more. But there was, you're totally right, there was a divide.
Because I tried to integrate that, and you all trained together. It wasn't somebody trained somewhere and somebody trained. Everybody trained together to try and integrate the whole.
It did help,
squad
which
of
is
players,
great.
Yeah.
Because again, looking from the outside in, I would always think that's what it was. Like the South was always the reserve team. The progression would be to get in the East team, and that's what you think from the outside in. But you saying that, it's interesting to see that there was a divide, and you came in to try and bring that together.
I remember that the end of that first season, there was some boys who were playing in the South, and they might have been 30, 31, 32, but they were never going to make the kind of East team.
Yep.
So I did tell them they were released, because that wasn't what I wanted my South team to be for.
Yeah.
I wanted that to be a reserve team to feed into the first team, and that didn't go down well with some people, but that was the way I wanted it to be.
Yep. Yeah. Your first season back on your second spell, very successful.
Yeah, we had
really successful.
We had a great season. We won the league.
Yep.
And we won our last 10 games of the season or something like that to actually get ahead of Spartans, because they'd played more games than us and were ahead of us, and we were always chasing, and I remember the game out at Galabank where we had to win, and the team we were playing, I think it was Preston, and so we go 1-0 up, and then maybe 2-0 up. Now normally if that was any other time of the season, that'd be the game dead. But they went like something like 5 up to try and get the game back, and I'm going, what are they doing? Why are they throwing? It's not a cup final, It's just a 2-0 defeat today. But they were trying as hard as they could to stop us from winning the league. I think we ended up winning it 3 or 4-0 or something like that. Which was fantastic. And I know the guys had won the league under Davy Irons, but I think it'd been quite barren apart from that.
Yep.
I think Davy's team had won it twice in a row.
Yeah.
So it was great.
But
to
also
do
that season as well, you won the qualifying cup,
Yep.
which was a big thing back in the day. Game was up for Park.
That's right.
Against Preston Athletic.
Yeah.
That was a big. I remember going to that game as a fan.
That was massive, because the club had never won it before. And Henry was the chairman, and he was so driven to win this, And I remember him running on the pitch, and he had his big long coat, and I think he had the stripy waistcoat, golden black stripy
Still
waistcoat
got that,
on, and he came running onto the pitch, and he was delighted, and he was kind of jumping up and down, and that was great, It kind of I kind of made a mess of things that day in terms of, wee Jardy couldn't play. Don't know if he was injured or if he was suspended.
He mentioned this, he did mention it during his podcast.
So he couldn't play, and Danny Dunlanson had come in and played.
Okay.
And Danny had done well. Danny was a good player, and so Danny stayed in for the cup final, but Jardy couldn't play anyway, but there was I think Gary Mack wasn't happy because he didn't get in. I think he thought he would. Maybe Gary had been suspended the week before or something. Thought he would come straight in, and he didn't get in. And I remember seeing his face on the bench, and he was raging. Now, unfortunately, Danny got a horrific tackle and broke his leg. And Gary Mack came on, and Gary Mack did very well, and the game swung, and we won it. But what happened was at the end when they got all the medals and the guy, I went up for mine's last and I got the medal and he says, there's a spare one. I says, oh, great. I goes in, I says to Jardy, there's a medal. He says, oh, that's great, thanks very much. And then I says, right, I'm going to go up to Wishaw Hospital to see Danny. I thought, Danny's medal? I just gave it to Jardy. So I'm like that. And I was just speaking out loud, I think, and I said, "Oh no!" I says, "I gave me Danny's medal away," and probably Danny doesn't know this. And Drugsy went, "Here, Harry, I wasn't playing that. That doesn't mean anything to me." And Drugsy gave me his medal, which was a great thing to do, because otherwise I was going to have to go back to Jardy and say, "Can I get that medal back?" So unfortunately, Danny had kind of broke his leg, but we went up to see him in the hospital after. But that was a great year, and we I think we lost in the final of the League Cup when another team had went down to 9 men. They just had 2 players sent off towards the end of the game. There was a big punt up the park and a wee striker who was lightning ran through and put it in the net, and I thought, oh no.
Again, a brilliant season though. It was a very successful, and a season I can certainly remember as well. Let's talk about the period where Annan got into the league and the build up to that as well. Like, were you in discussions with the board and the chairman? Obviously at the time would have been Henry to try and drive it. How much of a part did you play in wanting them to get in the league?
Well, I didn't play much of a part, to be honest, because see, after we had that really successful season, what disappointed me was a lot of guys left the club.
Right.
And we actually finished 7th.
I know,
the next year. So we had a really poor season, and part of me was thinking, if we go up into the league, this is going to be embarrassing.
Right, okay.
So I wasn't particularly driving it. If it happened, it was fantastic for the club, but...
You were concerned?
I was concerned if we did go up, how it was going to all pan out, but I know Dick did some fantastic work. I think Dick spoke to a lot of people. Dick had contacts.
Dick Shaw, wasn't it?
Dick Shaw, aye. And so there was confidence about the club. Now, I was a teacher, so I could only get holidays at a certain time of the year. So what always happened was we'd do 2 weeks of pre-season, and then I went on holiday with my family. Right in the first Saturday in July. So I went away for a week or two with my family. Then we come back, and luckily by then the pre-season games were starting and so on. So I was in Florida with the family, and I got this phone call. We're in. And I'm like, what? He says, we're in. I says, you're joking. So with no player signed. Nobody was signed because we didn't know what was happening. But we started pre-season and with good numbers as usual at pre-season. And I remember saying to Henry, right, you need to sign Jordan. You need to sign Jack. And Lee Houlihan. Lee Houlihan was there. And he'd just come up to do pre-season with us, and I thought, this boy looks a good player. And he'd had a pedigree, he'd played at a decent level. And I said...
Stockport, I think he'd been down.
I said, see if we can get those 3 boys signed. So Henry says, right, I'll see what I can do. I said, and then I'll deal with the rest of it when I come back. And so I comes back, and the first thing Henry said to me when I came in, he says, Harry, I've made a cunt of this. I says, what do you mean? He says, I've gave them too much money. I was so keen and so enthusiastic about getting them signed. I says, how much money? And he told me, I says, Henry, that's a third of the budget.
3 players.
3 players.
The better perform.
I says, I've still got about another 17 players to sign. So this was quite embarrassing, but it wasn't anything I was shy at doing. I took the 3 boys in, and one by one I spoke to them. I said, look, we can't afford to give you that. I says, if we give you that, we're going to be a laughing stock. We're not going to get any other players. I says, you need to take a cut. And they'd signed their contracts and they were all the way to the SFA.
And how did they take that then?
And they all took it fine.
Did they?
They all kind of says, we appreciate that. Because I was just told them, I says, you've taken a third of the budget. I says, we can't get any. And they all went, that's fine. Because they were still getting much more money than they were getting the previous season, obviously. So they all said, no, that's fine, just do it. And they did it, and that was fair play to the boys. They knew the club was, better. Would be better for them to take a cut in their wages. Yeah. And
the standard was getting better as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Gives them the opportunity to play in the leagues as well.
Correct.
But a proud moment, that first league game away to Cowdenbeath.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Well, we all know the score, but there was a wee kind of preamble. I mean, we'd signed Big Degsy by this time, and what a player Degsy was to have in your team. You know, he came as assistant manager, and in those days we could train down in the pitch inside the track. We trained in there, and training finished, and we're walking up, and Big Degsy says to me, we're doing crossing finish, and then they went, Harry, that crossing finishing was a fucking shambles. I says, you're right. Well, like that, if that's the way they perform on Saturday, we're getting a doing. Because Cowdenbeath were one of the fancy teams. Danny Lennon was the manager. So by this time I was fizzing. You know, we're coming up, and I was raging. So some of the boys were in the shower. I'm like, right, everybody out and into the back room of the club. Well, we're in the shower, Gaffer. I'm like, I don't care. Get a towel wrapped round you, get in. And we went through them. Me and Degsy went through them. I said, you know, you're going into the professional league, and that's the quality you're getting is. If you do that on Saturday, it'll be a shambles. And we're going up to the game, and we were late. It was a 2:00 kick-off because of the stock car racing.
That's right.
The stock car racing was coming on. So we had to play at 2:00, and the bridge was really busy that day, and the bus was queued right back. Nobody's fault. You know, just kind of I would left them plenty of time, and I'm like, oh, it's embarrassing. First game in the league, and we're going to be late.
Cameras ready to take pictures and all that.
We're going to delay you know, and then we goes in and they started. Oh, they were on fire, and they were 1-0 up, and they should have been 3-0 up. And I'm like, oh no, this is going to be a doing. And then Mike Jack scored.
Yep.
Mike Jack scored, and what a goal scorer he was. And then we got a penalty, and he scored again. We went 2-1 up, then we went 3-1 up, and they're still playing well. And I'm thinking, we got a draw here, this will be doing well. You know, that's how full of confidence I was, because they were a good side. And next time we scored the fourth, and then it was like as if we were Brazil. Honestly, the crowd and we took a great crowd up. The crowd were all in. We just kept possession. We were getting 20-30 passes at a time.
Amazing.
You know, and every time the crowd would say, oh hey, you know, and I'm thinking, what's happened? For Thursday night,
crossing finishing was rubbish.
You know, it turned out it wasn't quite as simple as that as the season progressed. But what a start it was!
Brilliant start. And then the first game was Stenny at Galbank.
That's right,
1-1 draw it ended up. But
can
you remember the crowd that day? I couldn't quite. Was it?
Crowds were good.
I'm presuming it would be packed the first game.
The crowds were really good in that first season, you know, because people were ticking it off their list. I've never been to this ground before, so they were all coming from south and north. You know, to the game. So we were getting over 1,000 every game.
We had the best. I think we had the best attendance record
that season. Brilliant. Brilliant.
So that was great.
And it was a good season. You finished 7th, which again, for a new team coming into the league.
Well, I'd kind of spoke to Henry and we said, right, realistically, what should we be expecting? Because I don't want to go in with them thinking we're going to do really well in this league. You know, so what can I say? 36 points. You know, that would have been 12 victories or the equivalent to that, you know. So we say 36 points might be good, you know, and I think we got 45 or something like that in that season. So, you know, that was above expectations, and there wasn't any relegation in those days. The bottom club didn't go into a playoff or anything like that. So we would have been happy to be second bottom, but we were fourth bottom with 45 points, which we thought was a good tally.
And then see, after obviously the second season for me, because the first season you've got that adrenaline, the whole club's buzzing. The second season probably the hardest one that you then look and where you're going to be. You finished 8th that second season. Was there a lot of change of players in that pre-season? Did you manage to get, again, finances would have changed for the clubs as well, obviously being in the league, and they would have seen the rewards of being in the league for a season?
We kind of, again, I think we lost 2 or 3 players that year. You know, Gary Brown, who was a good right back. You know, Gary decided he wanted to go back and play down in Carlisle again, and we Archie, the striker as well, he kind of decided the same thing. You know, so we did lose kind of some players at that point, but we were trying to bring other players in as well. But bearing in mind our budget wasn't big. You know, I remember speaking to Jim McAnally. And I kind of think my budget at that time was £40,000. You know, this is for 20 players for a full season, and we drew with them, East Stirling, and they were high expectations. And Jim, talked to Jim, and he says, my budget's £110,000.
Wow.
Almost 3 times the budget that we had, you know, so it made it difficult for us, you know, because if you went to any Ayrshire junior team, they're probably paying more than what we were paying, you know, so it did make it difficult. So we tried to build the local boys, try and sign as many local boys as we could who would think that Annan was a good club to come to, you know, and with that build good team spirit and camaraderie, you know. So we went and we picked Dill Beattie for, you know, Big Nielsen and Lewis Sloan and, you know, people like John Macbeth. You know,
Big Peter turned up on the door, just with his boots like that, waiting for a game.
I brought the ball, so I had to get a game.
Well, did he tell you how the signing took place, where it took place?
No, go for it, Harry.
Right.
I want to come back.
He was in Coatbridge at training, and we were down here in Annan training, and we met, stopped off in one of the motorway cafes halfway. Peter signed the forms. I took them up the road, took them into Hampden the next day, and that was him registered for the Saturday.
That was him back?
That was him back.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Released and signed on the same night.
was that Chappie that released
you?
No.
Cowboy John McCormick.
Oh, you Cowboy.
Aye. To be fair, I had a honking pre-season, so it was he'd just come in.
Yeah.
Chappie went to Dumbarton.
You got released after pre-season?
No, this was at the Christmas one.
Right.
But I just had a bad
start to the season.
And then I just didn't play, and he said, look, if you want to go and get someone else, I was like, I was embarrassed. I was like, right there, man, I'll take off.
So that was the second season, Pete?
Aye, because me and Moff went up together. I mean, Gary Gordon Moff.
Yes.
Yeah. And Moff went to, I want to say, Stirling.
He could have, he
Moff went to Stirling that
he
second season when Chappie left, and I stayed on. But
you got brought back. How lovely.
That
season, as I say, finished 8th, but you had that game against Dundee in the semi-finals.
Well, that's right. That was a good achievement as well. You know,
big club up at Dens, wasn't
it? It was good, and you know, I was trying to think of that game, and Jardy was on the bench,
right?
You know, and it was a bit of a struggle for us in the first half because, you know, it was a good pitch and it was a good crowd, and it was a wee bit of a struggle, and well, Jardy will tell you, he always played at some points, but there was times where he wasn't in the team, you know, and Mike Jack was playing and Mike was having a mare, you know, and which wasn't like him, and I thought he'd get overawed by it, you know. I just thought, you know, and I put Jardy on him, and Jardy changed. I don't mean he changed the game in terms of result, but he got on the ball and he kept possession for us, and we just calmed right down. But the game was beyond us by then.
Brought the control for you guys back.
Yeah, definitely.
The pitch felt massive. I thought it just felt huge.
But the crowd's so far away from you as well. On one side, the stand side, it's way back.
It's got that slope as well, Dens, and it's like if you're playing up that slope and you're already getting beat, it's almost like just blow the whistle. Sometimes like that, it's difficult. Place.
I want
to say, a good team then.
Was Muirhead in at this point? Was Aaron?
I think he could have been.
Because I thought he was playing right back.
Yeah, I think he could have been. Yeah.
Were you playing that day?
Aye.
Yeah.
I maybe came. No, I think I did play the full game.
That's why you got beat 3-0.
Absolutely.
Sold all 3 goals. No, brilliant.
Wait a minute, Pete. There's a bit of a theme here. We've been kind of successful when you were at the club. Successful.
It's not a coincidence. I will say that.
But talking about success, season 2010-11 was where the real progression, certainly looking from the outside in, was when you finished 4th in the league and you reached that playoff.
Really had to go that year.
Yeah.
It was a good season, a really good season. It was very tight when you looked at the league. I think yous were 1 point above Stranraer to get into that 4th position, but you were on the same points as Queen Park, so in 3rd as well, so it was so tight between the three years.
We were going into the last game of the season, and if we won it, I think we could have finished 2nd.
Right.
But if we lost it, we were still guaranteed 4th.
Right.
So there was 4 guys, 1 booking away from a suspension. So I left those 4 guys out. I think the game was at East Stirling, that last
game,
proper game. So I think Aaron was one of them, you know, and maybe Gilly, Brian Gilfillan. So and there was 2 others, and they were guys who could have got booked easily.
Yes.
And I was thinking long term, if we don't play them, they'll make all 4 playoff games if we get to 4 playoff games, you know. So that was the tactic. Or we might have finished 2nd that year. It's a possibility, you know, but
again, it gave you
the risk. I wasn't taking the risk.
It's again totally understandable because again you were always going to end up in the playoffs, and as you say, you got them 4 games. Just unfortunately, the first leg. So obviously you beat Queen's Park in the first game. Am I right in saying that? Or no? Who did
Alloa?
Alloa. Sorry, yes, Alloa.
Alloa, that's right.
Alloa,
Alloa, which was a good one because they were second bottom, weren't they?
That's right.
of the League One, as we call it now.
That's right. And Paul Hartley was sitting in the stand those 2 games because he was taking over as manager.
That's right.
Okay.
But it was
Armandoni was up front.
Aye, that's right. That's right.
The ginger hair twins, not McCrory.
Aye.
What's his name? Oh, the wee ginger hair twins when they were centre mids.
No. Pass me, Peter. Pass
me.
They'll come back to you. I'll come back to you.
Because I want to say, did Coxie not leave Annan that next year and go to them? Or no,
yes.
Sparky. Matt Docherty did.
Aye, and then the following year Coxie went.
Is that what it was?
Aye. So Sparky got abuse, didn't he, from the boys because we played up at Coatbridge, his hometown.
Yep.
And I think we were losing maybe 2-1 at the time. It was a tight game, and I think Sparky made a really bad pass and somebody intercepted it and scored, and boys like, that's just because that's your hometown club,
Because that was a game, you lost 3-1 in that away tie. I think it was a Tuesday night, and then you had the home tie on the Saturday back at Gallagher, which is 1-2-1, so only end up 4-3. Big disappointment?
Aye, it was a big disappointment, to be honest, because we thought we could have beat Albion Rovers over the 2 matches.
And even going into the home one, did you think you had enough to turn around that 3-1 deficit at that time?
I can just mind wee Robert Love and John Gemmell.
That's right.
He's a striker, wasn't he?
They went 1-0 up, to be fair, down here.
Did they? Right.
So it looked as though the tie was dead, but we got it back to kind of a 2-1, and did Gilly get sent off near the end of that game?
I think he did, yes. I think he did.
We were pushing, and I remember we had a free kick outside the box, and I'm thinking, and I think Gilly or Aaron were maybe fighting over it, to see who would hit it, and we didn't quite manage to, but I think it was right near the end, when Gilly get sent off, but we gave it a go.
It was a good run.
Yeah.
No, it was good season, good memories for the fans as well.
Yep.
The following season you finished 6th. But you had the semi-final of the Challenge Cup again, where you played Falkirk. Again, I think it was a 3-0 defeat, was it? But they were a top team then.
Oh, they were quality. I mean, funny, I found the highlights of that somewhere the other night when I was looking and thinking about it, and they had some good players, playing in their team. Higginbottom.
Yes.
He was quality. He ran the show that day. I remember that. But we did have chances.
That was at Annan, wasn't it?
It was at Annan. It was at Annan. But again, I think the game was over by half time. I think they were maybe 3-0 up at half time. Yeah. You're smiling. You must have a story about that.
I was going to say I probably played there.
You would have been playing. I think you did. Was that the game? You would have had Neely McFarlane part of that team then.
That's right. Yeah.
And was Stephen Presley the Falkirk manager?
He was.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can remember they had a really good team.
Had Big Neil not moved on to Falkirk by then, and Neil was their assistant manager or a coach?
Because we have Neil the year before.
We had Neil the year before. Okay. That's what it was. And then Neil,
he was in there
because
with
I remember Neil kind of wrote an article in the paper saying, Annan are a decent side, because he was then involved with Falkirk at that time.
Right. Yeah. Did you feel at that point that season Annan were quite an established league club, and you were quite settled with the position, the way they had fell into the leagues? And
yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing was that you're only a kind of temporary member of the SFL. You've got 4 years.
Yes, I remember that coming out.
I guess maybe, I don't know if anyone's ever said, no, you're not good enough, but that was always something I had in my mind. I want to be here for the 4 years and kind of get us settled and have a decent team, and I think that the 4 years was due up in the kind of August or September 2012.
Yep.
Yeah. So, so we had I felt we were meeting the requirements in terms of coaches, because Buff was in by this time, and Buff had an A licence, I had an A licence, so we were ticking all the boxes for that in terms of what we were providing for the club.
Yep.
And they were starting to develop the ground as well, weren't they? And
ground
everything
was getting developed, and so that was kind of partly one of my targets was to be there for the 4 years and make sure the club were secure, and then became permanent members after those 4 years. Yeah.
And it's great to see that obviously the progression on the pitch, you can see it on the paper with the finishes that they finished in the league over the 4 years. But as you say, the stadium, the infrastructure started to. That was a sort of start of the development that they needed to get to.
Because I was looking back at the photos that we put on a wee social media video of yourselves, and there was pictures on, and obviously the fans used to stand at both sides, didn't they, up Gallowbank? The dugouts were on the same side.
That's
but
right.
There was the barriers and the walkways up behind, which obviously isn't there now, so it has progressed that way. But and do you know what, I quite liked it when the fans were up that side. It was quite good. We used to batter Elgin. Like, Elgin was historically the bottom team, and we had some massive wins against them.
4-0, 6-0.
Battered them.
Yeah,
it was funny.
Do you know another team that I didn't realise this until I looked back later on? I don't think Montrose ever beat us.
Right.
You know, so we were obviously a bogey team to Montrose as well. You know, if they beat us once, but that was another team we always did really well.
Well, hopefully that continues on Saturday.
Was that right?
That's who they play on Saturday. Away to Montrose on Saturday, Harry. So
there's a record to have a look at.
Hopefully.
Get
the videos out, Pete. Get them up. We've beaten Montrose over the years.
Because you remember the big manager who was a Hibs centre back. Who was that again? And he played for Montrose, but he played for Hibs. He was the manager, and
Jim Weir.
No, he used to curse us. He used to go, "Oh, no use again."
Who was the manager?
I don't know.
Who was Jim Weir when you were
again?
Jim Weir was when I went on loan years ago. Jim Weir was my manager at Montrose, but I don't know who that was.
Big centre back, and he just used to stand in the box when corners come in. He would just head them out all the time. He never moved for that spot, and he'd had a career. You know, he'd had a career at a higher level. And one day, Big Nielsen was playing, Kevin Nielsen.
Yep.
Next time, it was last minute of the game. I ball him in for the right. Big Kevin gets up and heads into the net. What's he doing up there? So I says to him after the game, what are you doing up there? He's like, I dreamt last night I scored the winner.
I mind that.
Remember that? So then he said, so I just thought, it's the last minute. I'll get up. And he scored and by the way, I told the manager that, and he went, you're joking, because I think his jacket was a shaky peg. He's like, you're joking. He dreamt that he was going to, and that's where
and
he
wandered up. Amazing. It's a brilliant story. Following season, Harry, was your season you departed the club. Talk us through that period.
Well, we played Rangers by this point, mind? Did you had the home and away?
Third game of the season or something, I think. We played Rangers down here.
At Annan. 0-0.
0-0 it was, aye.
That's when we... Thingy Temps broke his ankle.
On the pitch, because he blamed the pitch. It was quite a new thing as well, Astro, wasn't it?
That was it, just new. Yep. And what did they do? They threw on the blue flares and they scorched on the pitch. It was funny because we're coming out and I'm the home manager and I'm coming out and I wanders up to the dugout, and then Ali McCoy comes out, and that was the Annan fans.
It didn't help when Buster was playing the Rangers songs before the game.
That was the other thing. That was the other thing. We're standing and Penny Arcade come on. And I'm like, is that not a Rangers song? And then two other songs come on that I'd never heard of, I didn't know, and they were Rangers songs as well.
Pleasing the club.
And Bob's like, what's going on? And I went to Henry, like, what's happening? Henry went, we were asked to make it a party atmosphere. I said, for Annan fans.
It was rocking.
Amazing.
That was incredible.
They would have been good games though, as to managing.
They were. That was a good game.
High profile, weren't they? Again, obviously Rangers dropped down the league.
We Jack Steele maybe had a chance actually later on to win it.
Matt Ian Black. Out the game, mate. It was class.
Yeah.
I think we Steely got on Soccer AM for, the thrill boat.
Aye.
Flicked around the corner.
Did they? Nice.
That was at home. Then we played them away and we got beat 3-0.
Aye, that's right. That was my last game. That was my last game. Yeah. We went up there.
Fucking hell, I played that. That was 3-0 and all.
We went up there. And so I'd kind of made up my mind I was going. Partly I'd seen through these 4 years, but obviously my wee one wasn't well at the time and my mother wasn't well, and I just kind of thought I'm spread too thin here.
Right, okay.
I need to give something up,
Well, you shattered like.
I found a photo. It's me and Ali McCoy on that night. I'll show you it once we're finished. And by the way, I look ill.
Do you? Right.
I look ill, and McCoy, he's like that. So we missed a penalty that night. I don't remember.
That's right. Aye.
It was 1-0.
Chappie missed it.
Aye, the big
Neil Alexander,
big left back gets sent
Lee Wallace.
off. Aye,
we were talking about this with Jardy.
And we got a penalty, and the crowd kept the ball. One of the players kicked it into the crowd, and I'm like, No buzz. There's no buzz on the bench but at this time. So it took about 2 or 3 minutes, and I think by this time Nelson
played in his head.
The better chappy. And then of course when the ball came on, they kicked the ball on for the crowd, so that delayed it a wee bit again. good gamesmanship, you know.
It was rammed on it that night.
Busy.
Good.
So I'd kind of made up my mind that I was going in that game because I kind of thought it was a bit of symmetry. My first start was at Ibrox.
Yes.
For Airdrie, and then I thought, right, my last game is going to be at Ibrox. But what happened was Rangers were playing in the Cup. We're supposed to play in something like the 1st of December. So, but because they were playing the Cup, the game was postponed to the Tuesday night, and then it came up about 2 or 3 weeks later. So my career was extended by 2 or 3 weeks because the game was kind of postponed for 2 or 3 weeks, you know.
So your mind was made up, obviously, due to circumstances and just to take some pressure off yourself. Was it tough to make that decision and sad to go?
It was very sad to go. We'd won, around about October time, November, we'd won 2 games 5-2 at home. Right. I thought that should have been the time to go. That's when I should have went. But I wanted to go back to Ibrox as a manager because obviously I'd never done that before, and I kind of hung on for that. But it was really sad, and do you know what? I kind of I couldn't stop looking at the scores on a Saturday, you know, because you know football's a drug. Oh. You know, and it was really difficult for me to kick the habit. And I'm right, what's Saturday score? Right, how are they getting on? And you know, it's kind of doing this. And then when they won at Ibrox, you know, I was kind of texting the boys that scored. I think it was wee Lovey and Hoppy that scored, and I was kind of texting them. In fact, Hoppy was one of my last signings before I went. I'd agreed the deal before I went. You know,
so it was done.
Sign David Hopkirk, aye. Yeah.
Interesting.
Good signing for us, wasn't it?
I thought, remember, he came on loan. That was when the games were 1-5-2. He was playing in those games, right. and he scored maybe 3 goals over the 2 games. You know, and I thought, where
did we get him on loan from?
Hamilton Accies.
Hamilton, was it?
Aye. By the way, he'd legs as well.
Oh, he was rapid.
But see, when we started doing long stuff, man, it was the resties looked embarrassing beside him. I've never seen that at a club before, that somebody was so far ahead in terms of runs.
How about this one?
Yeah.
Graham Wright, remember the ginger goalie?
He was fit.
12-minute run. He was lapping boys.
He was really fit.
He was fit. Yeah. He was fit. He was an odd boy we picked for a local club, but just wanted to play first team football, I think, and he wasn't getting a chance at it. Yeah.
No, brilliant, Harry. What are you doing with yourself now? Are you in and do football at the moment? Or?
No, nothing. I've never had anything to do with football really
since
I left Annan. Right. Yeah. I've kind of went to watch maybe Stenhousemuir or been back up at Brechin, you know.
You've been down at Annan game?
I've been down here, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, and I used to go and watch them when they played at Queen's Park or one of the Glasgow clubs. I would go and kind of watch that. But no, I don't have anything to do with it now. So I'm playing a lot of golf, and my new hobby's tennis.
Oh,
so
nice.
Put that up. Yeah.
Enjoying stuff. So brilliant. Thanks again, Harry. Brilliant career and really good to go through that.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
Yep. That takes us on to your best 11, Harry. So I'll hand it over to you.
We did tweet this, so we went for the best 11 that Harry's managed.
Yes.
Just touching on the Annan theme again.
Yeah. So this is all managed these players. So I'll let you take it away, Harry.
Yeah. Okay. The goalie I went for Craig Summersgill. You know, probably. If I managed 7-8 years, you know, Craig was probably a goalie 5 of those years that was in my teams, you know, and the other boys came and challenged him, you know, and at times he was out the team, but he always seemed to fight his way back in, you know, and he was a great shot stopper, and I felt he was a good presence in goals. He was a big guy, Craig, so he would be my choice for goalkeeper.
Good start.
A back 3 I've gone for. I kind of felt I had a lot of good midfielders I wanted to put in, so I thought I'm going to leave Peter out of defence to accommodate.
Don't lie, I was never getting in there anyway.
Nah, he's not made the back. He's nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen, Harry.
Yeah, so Aaron Muirhead, you know, Aaron came in. I got Aaron for Ayr. He's playing in Ayr under 18s, and he came in as a boy, I guess, and then he very quickly adapted because he was quite an aggressive player. I went to see him play a game at Livingston. He actually didn't have a good game when he was still playing at Ayr, but he came and trained with us, and what I saw in the training, I kind of thought, yeah, this boy, you know, he wants to do well, and he was a fit boy, and he could strike a ball, you know, and he put himself into tackles and wasn't scared to get hurt, you know, so he was a good player. So he'd be the right side of the back 3. Centre would be Deggsy. You know, I played against Deggsy when he was a winger. 6'5" winger.
Aye.
When he was at Queen's.
Aye, when he was at
Where did
Queen's.
he go? Hibs.
Aye, he was at Hibs. Yeah, he went to Hibs.
Yeah,
Did he go somewhere else?
Motherwell,
that's right.
Motherwell
Sorry,
as
he
well.
He did a brilliant career.
Oh, he was fantastic.
Fantastic player. And when he came here, you know, I don't know where he'd been playing, somewhere, you know, for a local Carlisle team. And I thought, he came as an assistant manager stroke player. I couldn't believe how good he was, you know. And he played right back on more than one occasion. And then, but centre back,
I just loved it,
you know,
when he would be talking. And it's the first time I'd... So, right, you know yourself as centre half, Harry. See, you'll have seen it obviously with Cammy behind as a goalie. When you're marking a striker, everyone's always saying goal side, goal side. You get that taught, don't you? So, see, when Deggsy came in, it was the first time I'd never ever heard this before. It was Deggsy would be like, go in front of him. Go in front of him. So when the game's up that end of the park, you go in front of him, because then you're first to the ball when it comes in front of him. I'm in behind you, didn't you worry about behind him? You go in front and he would talk, and you're like, this just feels wrong. But then you're like, this is the professionalism and the levels that he'd seen and what, and you're like, it's fantastic and just have someone to talk to you like that behind you. Even Big Nielsen will tell you the same. It was brilliant. Even Andy Aiken, who sorry, got to spoil some of it there, but it's just the communication. Obviously yourself.
But he also had a fantastic touch and great pass at the ball, Deggsy. You know, a great range of passing, short or long. You know.
Demanding and all though, wasn't he? Kenny could get angry like.
Oh, he could get angry, he could get angry, that's okay. 100%. I like aggression on the pitch, you know, and at training, that's okay by me, you know. That's something that I would always encourage and want to see in my players, especially your defenders, you know.
No, brilliant.
Left-sided was Andy Aitken. I mean, again, Andy, fantastic player, you know. Again, these boys, we were lucky to get them at Annan. I know they were coming towards the end of their career, but they were still really good players, you know. And Andy had a great left peg on him, you know, and could attack balls in the air, read the game well, passed it well too, you know. So, fantastic left-sided player, Andy. Going in at the midfield, again, this is where I had a lot of good midfielders to pick from. Chris Jardin's in there, you know, a guy who has been at the club, what was he, 15 years? More than that at the club?
Club legend.
Aye, club legend.
Club legend, you know. And came in my first session, was there all through my second session. And what, again, fantastic pass of the ball, great touch, great awareness, knew where everybody was at any one time, and a guy you could trust with the ball. Just give it to Jardy, no matter who was on him or what, and he would keep it for you. I mean, we often said that if international football was played up in that wee bit behind the goals, he was international class. Because see, on that surface, he was untouchable. Right. You know, he was absolutely fantastic. You know, sitting beside him, Neil McFarlane. You know, again, we got nearly towards the end of his career, but what a player. You know, I don't think I ever saw Neil make a mistake all the time he played for us.
Kept the ball, didn't he?
Kept the ball, always made the right decision, always did the correct thing, you know, in terms of what a manager would look for in all his players as well.
Do you know, I hated playing because it was embarrassing. how good someone like that, and like you say, the ball would get wrapped into him. But it just composed and knew what was going on. I shouldn't be on the same pitch,
But it's calm. I played with Nearly at Queen of South for a period when I went on loan, and just as you say, composure is a good word, because any situation, as you say, fire the ball into him, his touch, he was just so calm, and he would just release it again, and it was just, it was therapeutic watching him play because he's so good. And
again, I remember Neil as a young player playing for Queen's Park, playing against him, and he was a centre back.
Right.
And then when I started seeing him playing for Hearts and that in midfield, I'm like, man, that boy was a centre back. But I couldn't believe the ability he had when he played in there.
Top player.
It was amazing. Sitting in front of them, Mike Jack, you know, fantastic player, technically gifted, you know. Again, strike a ball. My goodness, when he saw those goals, there was only one thing in his mind.
We spoke again, we've mentioned it before, but that season, was it the first or second season at Annan, he was top goal scorer for a long time.
In the league, he had about 15 goals or something like that season. You know, fantastic. I was really sorry to lose Jacko when he went. You know,
and it was only because of golf, mind.
Well,
Jacko, obviously, we know he was a great golfer. His dad's got the golf shop.
See that day when he scored the 2 goals at Cowdenbeath? You know, you'd think people would be out and celebrating and having a few pints. The next morning they got up and he broke the course record at his golf course. He'd a 63.
Amazing.
He'd a 63 around his golf course.
Oh, was it not a world amateur competition? He was the best golfer in Britain or England or something.
Yeah,
I know he was America.
He was a top, but he was a top player. I remember watching him, and he was one of these guys, a bit like Jardy, that you just think he has got so much talent and ability.
There was a trick I saw in the Champions League on the Tuesday night. I think it was Ronaldo or something. A lot of people do it now. You run down the right wing and all of a sudden you just kind of clip it with the inside of your right foot and you go in another direction. So I'd seen that first time I'd seen it on the Tuesday night. On a Saturday, Jacko does it. Where has he practiced that?
Amazing.
But he just could do things like that, and a lot of important goals he scored for us over the years.
Yeah.
One in that cup final from a long way out, the kind of Challenge Cup final or the South Qualifying Cup final. Yeah.
No, brilliant player.
Wide on the right, I've gone for Stephen Sloan.
Mr. Dependable.
Mr. Dependable, again, about 8 stone when he was soaking wet, slowly. But
still is.
I can believe that too. What a tenacious little player he was, and you'd think people were by Sloaney, but he'd be back and he'd take the ball off them, not just kick it out for a shy, but he'd actually physically tackle them and then he'd be away in another direction. But also a good touch and a good passer and a guy who was kind of very dependable.
Absolutely.
Some of his excuses were a bit better than yours for not turning up for training, Pete.
Right the time he was late for a game. Sorry boys, the beast were giving me jip. He's in the middle of team talk, just strolls in the change room.
Amazing.
He had the cows to bring in the morning.
He didn't come to training saying on Tuesday or Thursday, turned up, this side his face. What happened? A bull got me. A bull dragged me along the ground.
Like a farmer, eh?
And pre-season he would always say, Gaffer, there'll be 1 week where I'll need to be on the harvester. He says, I'll no make training that week. When the sun shines, I'll no be here. I'll be on the harvester.
On the silage.
But a great boy, Stephen. This is the one Arbroath player that's made the team.
Aye.
The rest have all been Annan. Gavin Swankie, who, again, ability-wise, fantastic. Great touch. Just drifted past players. He didn't look as if he had a lot of pace. The next thing he was away from somebody and whipping a cross in with his left foot or cutting inside and having a shot with his right foot. Scored a lot of goals, over the course of his career. But
were you sad to see him go, obviously, from Arbroath?
Aye, but he went to Dundee, which was a move for him. It's a full-time move, and it had to go to further his career, So he was...
He's a brilliant player. I played against him a number of times, and just always afraid. He'd be one of these guys you would always speak about in the changing room as the opposition, because he's that good a player. He was a top player.
Up front, I've gone for big Sean O'Connor. Again, Sean was coming towards the end of his career, and his knee was shot really when he came to us, and it was always like that. He didn't train with us, and it was a call on the Friday night because he was living in Wolverhampton at that time. How are you, Sean? I should be all right, Gaffer. Maybe manage a half, or. No, I can't make it, and I got a lot of stick at the time for not playing him, but a lot of the time I didn't play him because he just wasn't fit. He couldn't take to the pitch, but we might put him on the bench and bring him on and try and get 20 minutes out of him. There was a game we played up, I think it was Peterhead. We were 2-0 up and he was bullying centre-backs, and we come in at half-time, he went, that's me, I'm shot, and then we ended up losing the game 3-2, but I think if Sean would have stayed on, we'd have won about 4-0. He just was that type of player. He's so strong, and I couldn't believe his physique. See, the first time he came into the changing room, and I'm like, Jesus, God. He was ripped, wasn't he? It's a bit like you, Pete.
No. He had the face to match
that. Fantastic guy as well, big Sean, and very respectful, had a great career and had done good things, but always would say to some other guys, listen to the manager's talking to you. Listen, it's important what he says.
He's moved back up. He's local.
Oh, is he? Mm-hmm. Aye, good. Aye, nice big lad.
Good player.
Yeah, and I went for Ian Harty to finish off my 11. Ian Harty had been around the block again, coming towards the end of his career, but he knew where the goals were. And by the way, he could stick it in, and Harty's shots. Maybe when he reached the back of the net, but they were over the line. You looked at Harty and go, well, who's he? You know what I mean? But actually, put him in front of goals. Put him in front of goals.
Goal scorer.
He could get the ball in the net. And he could hold the ball up as well. He was quite good at holding the ball up and bringing other guys into play.
But he knew the game, didn't he? That was the thing.
I knew the game inside out. And I used to pick him up, and he never had a car, couldn't drive. I had to pick him up and bring him down.
It's always a story with him.
Sick. Couldn't make training as well. Just but one of those guys. I didn't mind guys like that because I knew myself I'd been like that when I played at Brechin, I didn't always train with Brechin.
Yes.
And you could trust guys to do their own thing, and still be fit enough to playing a Saturday. Yeah.
Brilliant. Great team. Thanks a lot for that, Harry. That takes us into the higher the lower game, which I'm pretty sure you'll be looking forward to.
Yeah.
Test the knowledge.
Scottish football general knowledge question. We've got 30 seconds on the clock, which Peter will get his whistle ready as well. So each question you get right, Harry, you get, after we finish the 30 seconds, we get the opportunity to flip a card to add to your points tally.
Good luck for that.
Good luck, and then we'll go on. If you don't know any, just say pass. I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah.
We'll go on Peter's whistle.
All right.
What position did Scotland finish their Nations League group in?
Third.
The Warriors is a nickname of which Scottish club?
Stenhousemuir.
Who is bottom of the Scottish Premiership?
Hearts. Hibs.
Who did John McGinn overtake on Scotland's all-time goal-scoring list?
Ali McCoist.
Which SPFL team have been deducted 6 points for the slope on the pitch?
Oh, pass.
Which League One club has a nickname after an insect?
Maybe the Wasps.
Which club?
Allo Athletic.
Okay, we'll take that.
You did start.
Yes, you did start, so we'll take that. Peter, have you got a score?
Who was the slope?
So we'll go through them.
Aye.
Pete, do you want to go through them?
Yes. What position did Scotland finish in the Nations League group? Third, you got that right.
Well done, Harry.
The Warriors, which someone you'll know very well, it's Stenny. Who's bottom of the Scottish Premiership? You said Hearts initially, so I took that as your first answer. So you got that wrong. It is Hibs.
You corrected yourself as well.
Who did John McMahon? Fuck McMahon! John McGinn overtaking Scotland's all-time goal-scoring list. It was Ali McCoist. You got that right. Which SPFL team had been deducted 6 points for a slope pitch? Bonnie Rig.
That was just Rose.
I knew it was one of the ones that had come in
the
recent times. Yeah.
And then the last one, which League One club has a nickname after an insect? And you were right, Wasps was Alloa. So
done,
it's
Harry.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So you've got 4, and you can't lose them 4, and then you've got the chance to make it 8.
Right.
As soon as you lose on your higher or lower, stop there.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your first card is 5 of spades. Do you want to change, or are you happy to start on that one?
Happy.
Right. What
Higher.
you want? Higher than a 5.
Higher than a 5.
2.
Who's shuffled
It's the luck of the draw.
It's a luck of the draw.
Unlucky.
That is unlucky. That puts you
2 of diamonds.
That puts you bottom equal.
Yep.
With Willie Gibson.
Willie Gibson.
That
Yes.
was loaded. That was a loaded board.
So listen, nice and quick though, isn't it? So luck of the draw, as Peter says. But good on the questions though, Harry. Just
Very
unlucky.
good on the questions.
Unlucky.
Aye, that was it.
Right, quick fire questions, Harry. Here we go. 5 quick fire questions. What's the best stadium you've played at and why?
Well, I would have to say Parkhead because I was a Celtic supporter as a young boy and always wanted to play there. Pity it was only 2 games, but still, it was 2 games, you know.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Good start. Who's the best player you've played with or against?
Played with a guy called Pat McCluskey, who was ex-Celtic player when I was at Airdrie. Pat, a bit like Diggsy, was a great talker in the park and very encouraging to the young boys like myself, you know. Fantastic passer. And played in 2 European Cup semi-finals, Pat, when he was at Celtic. Won 5 trophies with him. Fantastic player.
Cammy, mix that question up as well.
Against?
Managed. Best player you've managed with or against? No,
I've only managed
Aye.
with. I would
That doesn't make sense.
say Mike Jack. Technically,
Mike Jack.
Yes.
I thought Mike Jack technically was a great player, but he was a match winner as well. On top of that, you know, you've got guys like I guess others I've mentioned, and like Neely McFarlane, you know, and Big Diggsy, but Jacko was a match winner, which made him, I think, a bit special.
Yep.
Well,
That was special.
who's the best player you've played against when you were a manager? Sorry, you came up against.
Oh, I would say the boy Higginbottom at Falkirk.
Right.
I thought that
He's
day,
outstanding.
He was outstanding. He run the
good
show
player.
that day. Yeah.
What's been the most enjoyable part of your career? So we'll ask you about your playing career first and then the most enjoyable part of your managerial. So playing first.
Difficult because the first couple of years I was in the Premier League with Airdrie and I got to play at all the big grounds at, you know, Parkhead, Ibrox, Dens, Tannadice,
Yep.
you know, Pataudry got to play at all of those games, so they were all great, fantastic atmospheres. You know, the club who looked after me best was Brechin. You know, I had a physio there called Tommy Gilmartin, and the only reason I played to almost 42 was because Tommy looked after me and got me everything I needed to coax me through at the next game.
Interesting. You know? Yeah, that's good. And managerial period?
Yeah, obviously I didn't enjoy my time at Arbroath, but managerial period, obviously that year when we were in East of Scotland and we won it and we won the qualifying cup, that was fantastic. But also just getting into the league, you know, was a great achievement for the club as well. And that was thanks to all the work of the guys who had the club at a standard that it needed to be to get in.
Yep.
You know.
Brilliant. Again, we'll flip this question a wee bit to hardest opponent you've played against playing in your playing career and then you've faced for your managerial career. So this could be hardest tackler, somebody who's fucking just it could be somebody who's a right arsehole on the pitch or anything.
Jimmy Bone.
I've
yes,
played against Jimmy Bone. Times.
Jimmy is a hardy boy. So I remember he was player manager at Arbroath, and he was a striker, and I was playing at the back for Stenhousemuir, and I cleared the ball up the park. Now Jimmy came in and tried to do me, but I saw it, you know, and I jumped up in the air, and as I come down, I clattered my studs, top of his head, down, ripped his jersey. Jimmy just got up and walked away.
Did he?
Did not.
I've heard he's hard as nails.
Did not say one thing to me because he knew he'd try to do me, and he'd kind of, on that occasion come out second best. But and I know Jimmy. I've been coaching courses. Jimmy's there. Another quick story was when I was still playing at Brechin. Jimmy gets sacked from Stenhousemuir, and I phoned Dick Campbell up the Monday morning. I said, Dick, I'm thinking about applying for the Stenny job, and Dick said to me, well, hold on, I'm sitting with Jimmy here, you can speak to him about it.
Amazing.
I was like, oh no. But Jimmy, to be fair, was like, Harry, you were a fan's favourite, you were at the club a long time. Go for it if you think that's the right thing to do. You know?
Brilliant. Brilliant, amazing.
But Dick had so many pals, he could have been sitting beside everybody that morning, you know.
Aye, good one, good. So managerial one, any ones that you can think of?
Hardest managerial, I'm trying to think. Who were the dirty guys? I can't think in that one. No. Can you help me out? Nah. It's a good question. Hardy boys.
Again, I'll always touch on Rory McAllister, not for being dirty, but just the hardest to play against.
Quality. Good player. Good player.
He couldn't. Who was the other one up front for Peterhead? He was a big experienced boy.
I know the guy you're talking about.
I don't know if it was Swinglehurst or who it was that was with me.
Aye.
Because you brought Swings in from Carlisle, didn't you? Initially on loan.
Yeah.
Bavage,
he was...
torrid time, didn't he? He tore us apart, I'll be honest, him and Rory McAllister.
Too good.
You don't fucking agree that much. You were really shite that night. No, they did. I can mind you going through it after the game. It made us look like a couple of wee boys. I did. Flung us about.
Aye, brilliant.
Pete got off piste a wee bit. There was a game we played at Stenhousemuir where I took the two centre backs off.
Right.
At half time. Were you on at the start or did you come on at half time?
I don't know. Did I score no goal that game?
Yeah. So you must have been on at the start. But we were getting beat about 3 or 4-0 at half time.
Two centre halves?
Two centre halves off.
That's rare.
Well, who did we?
You must have been honking.
Who was the other one? So there would have been
Nielsen and there was a boy. Was it Gary Bird? What was the boy's name?
No, Gary Wild.
Gary Wild.
Gary Wild.
Come on. He come on with somebody else, and I took the two centre backs off.
You got huckled.
Was it you and Gibby that started?
Remember Gibby?
And I think I put maybe Kev Nielsen and Gary Wild on.
3-0 again, you said? 3-0, man. Oh my God.
I think I scored the wrong goal. I definitely scored one at Stenny, the header, and I can mind him saying in the press, bad body shape, terrible position.
And he was right on every fact.
Who said it to my face, right? And I was like, goodness me.
Brilliant. Harry, last question on this one. Tell us something we don't know about yourself.
I maybe alluded to it earlier on. I've started playing tennis since I left Annan Athletic. You know, I play for the kind of summer, just doubles. It's all double stuff. I can't run about much now. Over 40s and over 60s team, you know, and we won the last 2 leagues over 60s.
Right.
So, West of Scotland League. So
good standard then.
Aye, decent.
Interesting.
You know, for somebody who'd never picked one up till he was 51, something
Really?
like that, you know.
Really?
Aye.
That's good,
Yeah.
that.
Because that, like, obviously, when was it? 2012 you left, Annan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it,
I
that,
know,
12 years.
12 years ago. Yeah.
Crazy.
Long time.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Long time.
Good, thanks for that, Harry.
No bother.
Pass over to
Fantastic.
Pete for our fans'
We've
questions.
got some fans' questions. Yes,
Yeah.
we'll put stuff out on social media
yeah.
for fans to get involved. So this was from Keith. Harry, clearly one of your personal traits is loyalty. What was the key trait you looked for or instilled in your players? What did you look for as a player?
question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, you would hope they would have some kind of skill to start off with, you know. But I kind of looked for commitment and dedication. You know, I wanted boys who were going to come to training all the time. You know, turn up when you needed them. You know, and weren't afraid on the pitch to show commitment either. Now that doesn't just mean a challenge, but you know, taking the ball in under pressure. You know, and kind of being brave that way as well. You know. So
there was, you mentioned it before, obviously, when you're on about you didn't mind the aggression side of it, and you wanted your boys to be dominant, especially your centre halves. Like, so that's where probably Kev Nielsen thrived, I think, because he was done bread and butter. That was but he could actually play an all wee bit, but he was good at the dirty stuff.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
he was good at that.
There was a time when there was about 4 guys up that wee training pitch, you know, that you had to try and keep apart, you know, because they would just kick lumps at each other. Cox, Gilfillan, Muirhead and Nielsen. Do you know what I mean? You just had to try and put them in different parts of the
I could imagine all 4 of them.
You'd be better with them in the same group, like in the same team.
They wouldn't hurt anybody else.
Because I can mind, me and Grant. So see, when you first come, obviously there was a lot. Obviously, what I mentioned before, me, Grant, Nicky White, and I can mind you pulling us to the side. And I think, because we didn't take it seriously, and this was like product of probably coming through, and where the professionalism wasn't as professional as when you came in, and you're like, get yourselves a fucking shake. Ken, you've got a chance to
good ability
play here. Not obviously not just me, but there was obviously the young boys, and you're like, fuck it, because we used to fuck about a lot, and it was a lot.
I remember.
And just like, you're like, fucking hell, right? Okay, they bother trying to screw the nut, maybe, but it just.
I think the other 2 you mentioned maybe fucked about a bit more than you. You know, I think you were serious to a certain extent, but the 2 boys I thought could play. They were both left-sided players. There's always a chance for left-sided players in every squad. You know, more so, you know, because there are less of them. So I just wanted you to kind of.
Do you know Nicky's director of football at Gretna now?
Is he? Good for him.
Really passionate
good lad,
about
Nicky.
it.
He's a good lad.
Great, and Grant's got a local gym here and all.
I know that's right. I remember hearing about that before. Good.
Thanks, Keith, for that one. So next, John, who was in collecting tickets for the live Black and Gold show on the 29th of December. Harry will be there.
Get your tickets.
Who was the best player you worked with, and who was the worst to try and coach? So it's a wee double barrel. It could be the same person right now.
Best player I worked with.
Again, you maybe mentioned Swanky, but
I know. I guess over the years, I would probably go with Chris Jardine, because see, if you wanted to demonstrate something in training, Chris was great because his skill level was so high, you know. So and he took on board as well. He wasn't arrogant. If you were trying something new, Jardine would take it on board and he would say, right, let's kind of go and we do that.
Yes.
You know. But in training, I mean, although he's got wee legs and he looked overweight, but he wasn't Jardine. He had a great attitude when it came to training, you know, and running and all of that. So Jardine was a great delight to work with. He'll probably say that at times, you know, he got on the wrong side of me, and he did, but that's going to happen in a long-term relationship with players and managers, you know. But I would say that, you know, he was probably the best to work with. Yeah.
Right, sorry, thanks for that, John. From Lee Clark, when being manager of Annan, what was your favourite away day and why?
Favourite away day for Annan?
Where did you like going?
I guess
back to
I like
maybe?
going to Elgin. because we had a lot of good results at Elgin.
You got paid hourly the same as us, is that?
Remember that was me that devised that.
Was it?
Aye, the guy, the Chunky and
that's how we left on a Friday.
and Alan were going. They were kind of going, oh, we're going to have to release all these players. We can't afford to pay them and all that. And I come up with this where they get paid more for going to Elgin than did coming for a home match. And people accepted it, you know.
Aye,
it worked.
Yeah. So going to Elgin, we had lots of good results, but also it was great for the team. A journey away up there. Sometimes we went on a Friday night and we stayed overnight, you know, and that was great for the boys getting together in groups, you know. But I think we did win 4-0 and 6-0 up there as well. We had some great results up there.
Aye. Was it the Kingsmill we stayed, wasn't it?
Aye,
the wee pitching put
that's right.
the pitching bit at the back of that.
Kingsmill's a bit of money in that.
I know.
It's lovely hotel.
So Elgin,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Right. Wee goodie.
Aye, yes.
Is hitting Sloaney with the tactics boards at Stenny the highlight of your time at Annan?
Hitting Sloaney with the tactics board?
It must have happened. Wee Goody doesn't lie.
You must have lost.
You must have knocked it over or something and it hit Sloaney.
I read that. You lost your shit at half time. And
it was
known. That day we're going to beat 4-0.
It was known. It went to 4-0.
You were aiming for him.
So, well, Goody must have seen it happen.
Must have seen it.
I don't remember happening, and it certainly wouldn't have been intentional. Not to Sloaney, maybe it's somebody else.
Maybe for a big centre half when you're 3-0 down at half time.
Somebody else, but apologies, Sloaney, if that happened.
No, brilliant.
No, excellent. Thanks to all the fans getting involved. Excellent.
Yeah, keep sending stuff in to us on our social media channel for any guests coming up. We'll get the questions out there. But thanks again for that. That takes us on to what's coming up in and around Annan Athletic this weekend. So the first team are away to Montrose on Saturday the 23rd at 3 o'clock. Good luck to Annan. Hopefully they can go and get 3 points up at Montrose, which will be a difficult match, but hopefully the boys can get the 3 points. Youth games at the weekend. So Saturday the 23rd, the 2013s are away to Uppers. 2014s have games versus Dalbeattie, Heston and Greyston at Gallowbank at 10 a.m. 2015s playing in a festival at Crichton in Dumfries at 11 a.m. Sunday the 24th, we've got the 2016s versus Soccer Bees, which is Stevie Sloan's little setup in there.
Yeah.
They're
at the Mugger at 1 p.m. 2017s are away to Gretna at 9 a.m. and we've got Annan under 17 Colts versus Annan under 17s at 11 a.m. on Gallowbank on Sunday, so get up and watch that one. And Annan under 15s will follow that, who they're playing Stranraer at 2 p.m. at Gallowbank as well. So that takes us on to the girls and the ladies. Firstly, the girls, I would like to say a massive congratulations to the under-14s girls who have now finished their season in the South West Riley League. It's the first season in the league and they've finished second, narrowly missing out to Latcall, who won it. But a brilliant season and some fantastic talent on show from our girls and a bright future ahead for the club as well. They've got the presentation night on Friday the 6th of December, so hopefully all the girls can celebrate and have a fantastic night, but a massive well done from the Black and Gold podcast. The ladies, they've got a game on Sunday the 24th. They're away to Cambusdoon at 3:30, so good luck to the ladies. So everyone at the club, get behind the boys, girls, men's and ladies teams. It's your club, remember, get out there and support them, and good luck to everyone from the Black and Gold podcast. So that's us coming to an end. Harry, enjoyed it?
Yeah, it was good fun. Yeah, good to have Peter there, who knows a bit about the club and is able to kind of chip in and remind me of certain things that I've forgotten, you know.
And you can help him remind what he's forgotten as well.
That's right, yes. And thanks to you, Cammy, for inviting us down. Yeah,
no, it's been great. It's great to always hear stories, and it'll be nice for you as well.
No, it is. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And there'll be a lot of guys who we've played under Harry that listen and stuff, so I think it's excellent. So they'll hopefully enjoy this one. So
no, I think they definitely will. As I say, it's great when you go back right to the start of your career and Premier League games all the way up to managing Annan and all the shenanigans that have went on in between. But
here's a question: do you still wear your watch you got for your testimonial of Brechin?
No, the strap broke in it.
Smudgers broke it. You broke it, Annan.
Oh, that's right, hit a ball.
Aye.
That's right, he did that.
Smudger.
I'll always remember that. I was speaking of Smudger on Saturday night. We went out in Annan for a bit and I was talking to Smudger. Oh, it fucking broke the strap. I fucking got that for my 200th game.
Unbelievable.
My 600th game.
600 game.
600 game and Smudger broke the watch. Unbelievable. Aye, no, brilliant. So that brings us to the exchanging of gifts.
Yes.
What have we got for Harry today,
As always, we've got a special black and gold pennant for Harry. Wee cup, and there's a
lovely keyring.
Thanks very
as
much.
well.
Very
so you
kind,
can
guys.
hang that on the...
Yeah.
Pass that over, Harry.
Thank you very much.
On the car keys.
Enjoy our little memorabilia.
Thank you.
Hang them with your Rangers and your Celtic ones. What's this we've got?
This is a Brechin City top. Now,
wow.
It's signed by the players who played in our 92-93 promotion season.
Oh, fantastic.
We went back after 25 years.
On the anniversary?
Yeah, the anniversary of it, and then the club presented that to me because I had been the captain, and the 23 is for 92-93 being the season that we got promoted that year. So you'll find a few kind of signatures on there of the guys that played in that team.
Superb.
Okay.
That's much appreciated, as you can see, guys, on the visuals. That's the shirt.
That's lovely. Thank you very much.
Again, brilliant. Thank you very much for that.
welcome.
Much appreciated.
See what we're going to have here. There's Sandy Ross on it there.
Yes.
What we're going to have at the dues, we're going to have these on show and stuff like that, so it'll be great.
Yeah, good.
But it's great to...
Oh, Harry, at least you got your...
I got my name out.
Got his name on it.
Joined up writing.
got your dog to write it.
Oh my God.
No, brilliant. Thank you very much for the
You're
gift,
welcome.
Harry.
You're welcome.
Brilliant.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And again, thanks again for coming down today and joining us on the Black and Gold podcast. It's great when our guests come down and make the effort to come and join and share your
Especially
career.
Annan royalty.
Yes, career with our fans out there. So, a big thank you from me and Pete for watching and listening to the Black and Gold podcast. Again, keep sharing and liking all our stuff. Please subscribe on the YouTube channel. And until the next time, it's goodbye from the Black and Gold podcast.